Is this thing on? We're live.
Education, in general terms, is static. Things haven't changed all that much since our parents were in school. For the most part, we teach the same way we were taught. But why? Time is always a concern when it comes to change. It always seems like there isn't enough of it in the day. Sometimes there's a fear of not meeting expectations, be it staff, student, or community expectations. Sometimes these expectations lean towards the final course mark. Sometimes they're expectations that our culture places on the classroom, and sometimes they are expectations around skill development. In all cases, these concerns and expectations get in the way of exploring a new idea. But what if we were to shift our thinking away from meeting these expectations to a place that valued a different approach? This is the case for risk-taking. There is pressure to try new things, but the new is often not met with long-term support or interest. Many times a new initiative works well for a few weeks, but then is slowly abandoned as we lean towards our usual routine. Let's be honest, the usual routine is often safe and easy. So if we want to change, we have to take a risk. Change and risk are tightly entwined in a cycle of facing obstacles and then figuring out a way to overcome them. Exploring this cycle requires a culture of support and safety. Students and staff should feel like they can take risks freely and with the support of the community around them. If students need to feel supported to take a risk, certainly teachers need to feel supported as well. Leading by example is important in our classrooms, and it is no less important in our schools. Administrators need to be willing to take risks in order to support their teachers. What does risk-taking look like for a leader in a school or a school board? Maybe it's asking questions like, do our expectations for assessment and reporting meet our expectations for learning? If we lean too heavily on assessment and evaluation, the opportunity for risk-taking and change is missed because things like grades are inflexible. In a classroom, students will lean on their teacher for support and mentorship when they are taking a risk. What does that look like for a teacher? Who do they lean on? The teacher who takes a risk needs to be able to count on their colleagues and leadership team for support. Collaboration is important to see inside the classroom, and it is equally important in teacher workrooms and staff meetings. Moving away from our usual routine is uncomfortable. Any risk has an element of danger or discomfort. Without that, it's not a risk. Dealing with and even embracing that discomfort becomes the bigger challenge. There is friction found in risk-taking because sometimes we try something new and fail spectacularly. Failure is a necessary part of risk, but fear of failure is the biggest barrier to risk-taking. We tell students that failure is a way to learn, and knowing how to manage failure is a way to grow. How can we grow if we are never trying new things? When we fail, we rely on our community for support and for growth. With a supportive community in place, failure is a growth opportunity. It's not necessarily about trying something that doesn't work. Students and teachers need to figure out why it didn't work and move on from there. Remember, in our culture, we often hear about people who take a risk and gain from it. What we don't often hear is how many failures that person has had first. It's time to stop validating the final product and start looking at everything else that happened from start to finish. The in-between, the space between project assignment and finished product, is the piece that matters most. Risk-taking creates a product. Understanding why that product is good or bad is the real learning. The risks we take don't have to be big risks. Go small and try something new in the classroom. Aim for a medium risk and change how an entire semester is delivered. Or decide to think big risk and try changing the culture of a school. So what happens in a class where risk-taking happens? The teacher looks to the curriculum for guidance but doesn't allow it to tie them to one particular direction. Teaching the reader, the writer, the mathematician, not the reading, the writing, and the math, is a subtle but massive shift. The teacher values the strengths and weaknesses of their students and uses that to guide their decision-making. The classroom is a safe space where risks are met with praise and guidance continuously. Student choice and voice are cornerstones of the classroom culture. The teacher offers supports rather than directives. Risk is a vehicle for skill development. Try something new and see where that takes you. And that's the case for risk-taking.